While people are understandably focusing on the portion of the Comey memo where Trump apparently pressures the head of the FBI to stop investigating one of his buddies, there was another section that's scary in a very different area. I mean, the first part, you have him pressuring government officials to not investigate. But here you have an area on the media. This is what it said. Alone in the Oval Office, Mr. Trump began the discussion by condemning leaks to the news media, saying that Mr. Comey should consider putting reporters in prison for publishing classified information, according to one of Mr. Comey's associates who had the memo shared with him at that point. So this is not exactly the first time that Trump has talked about imprisoning journalists, changing the laws in terms of libel and slander and those sorts of things. But here he's talking to the then head of the FBI and saying the people who receive and publish leaked information, which is one of the things historically journalists do in America and abroad, that they should be imprisoned. And again, this is an area where it goes beyond just the content of the investigation into Russia or whatever the topic is. Once he has a more friendly head of the FBI in, he is a guy who philosophically thinks that journalists who publish things he doesn't like should end up in jail. And that's scary going forward in any area.
So as usual, he doesn't understand the concept of America. You think he's read the Constitution? Come on. I don't care how much of a Trump supporter you are, you know he hasn't read it. You know he has no idea what those amendments say. So, and even if he did, which I will never concede that he has, okay. Oh, I'd love to give him an immigration test. You know the one they give when you're trying to get a green card or become a citizen? Oh, he'd get 1 out of 10. He'd be miserable for that. Anyway.
He'd fail a BuzzFeed test.
And you'll never believe the question he missed.
No.
37 questions Trump missed. You'll never believe 27. All right. But if you believe in America and the Constitution, I mean, boy, does it get any more central to the mission and ideals of America than freedom of the press? And if you just don't believe in that, and you think that we should imprison journalists because you didn't like them or they offended you,
yeah.
That's, it's literally un-American. And it's always like the guys who claim to be the most American and jingoistic, and we're going to make America first, and we're going to make America great again, who actually don't believe in the country at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wannabe dictator, and that's what dictators do. Authoritarian goons lock up journalists. And so, and look, I think we've been slipping towards that direction far too much already. I thought Obama went way too far in that direction, using the espionage against journalists. And anytime you touch power, all of a sudden the people in power don't like it and want to shut you up.
Regardless of party.
Yeah, and when Obama did it, we said, number one, it is terrible on its face, and he should have never done it. Number two, it opens a door, and when the next Republican comes in, then that, we could have a host of terrorists fly out of that door, and here we are, with a sitting president asking the director of the FBI, hey, can we just throw these journalists in prison for doing their job, which is getting leaks from the government. And by the way, his administration leaks like to no end, including the ones that he's in favor of, right? There's all these positive leaks about Trump too. Are you gonna put those guys in jail? No, you're only going to imprison the people who don't suck up to power. And that's the antithesis of what we believe in as Americans.
And I mean, here's, like we always find out, he does X terrible thing, it has no effect on his supporters. If he literally locked up a dozen journalists, 80% of his supporters would be like, yeah, they were hurting the president, they were hurting the country.
They'd chant, lock them up, and they'd be enthusiastic about it, but that's because they're un-American goons.
Yeah.
They are. Go read the Constitution. Our reporter Jordan Chatton broke the Donna Brazil story. He was right, she just apologized for it. Help us get more reporters like that. You're the one responsible for that. Thank you, and let's do more right now at tytnetwork.com/go.